What's going on, people? My name is Alam, back with another stream. I run a channel called Toronto Hoop Talk. I have my guy with me, Damon from We Talk Hawks TV. Damon, what's going on?
What's up, man? What's up, man? How you doing, my guy?
All good, man. Happy to get this live with you. For you guys that are watching, this live is streaming simultaneously to Toronto Hoop Talk and We Talk Hawks TV. I made it simple and I put the names of the channels in the title. So if you're watching this on Toronto Hoop Talks, make sure you head down to We Talk Hawks TV during the stream and hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this at We Talk Hawks TV, I'd definitely appreciate it if you come on by over here and hit the subscribe button on Toronto Hoop Talk. If you enjoy fan made content, support fan made content, the bigger the ecosystem gets, the more we all benefit from it. So I guess we'll get down to business.
Word, man. Let's get to it, my guy.
All right. So I think a good place to start is, I guess, to like flush out the word on the street on both sides. So amongst the Hawks fans community and amongst, whoever's covering the Hawks, what have you heard regarding the Siakam situation?
Okay, so I've heard numerous things. Let's see. We've heard first let me say this is the deal that I would say a majority of Hawks fans who's with the trade who want Siakam agree on. We agree on moving DeAndre Hunter. And this is also involving if Dallas is involved in the deal.
Right.
Moving DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella. I think we had Sadiq Bey, and I think it was the Sacramento. We're all for that move right there. What we've been hearing, we keep hearing that the deal is close. Obviously, we're all just on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
We hear our CEO Steve Koonin went on 9290 Game, which is the Hawks radio network, and he said, we've been coming across some deals. We're assuming he's speaking on Siakam,
Yep.
but stuff is falling apart at the last minute for whatever reason. What else have we been hearing? We've been hearing that Siakam doesn't want to come to Atlanta. He wants to stay in Toronto. Why does he want to stay in Toronto? We don't know. We don't know if that's true, what he's saying. From a money standpoint, I can understand why he would want to stay. But those are the rumors we've been hearing, man. Just it's close. On Twitter, following some of the NBA heads on Twitter, they're saying that it's more than likely that Siakam will be moved. No, how did he say it? He said it's a greater chance that he's moved compared to him staying in Toronto. So that's what we've been hearing, man. What you been hearing on your end, my guy?
Oh, okay. So it's a long story, and it's tough because the thing about our front office is they typically don't let a whole lot get out to the media. So you'll hear the media talking about stuff, and then what actually happens is something that kind of comes out of the blue. So what we've heard though is that I guess you could start last summer. So last summer, the Raptors offered Pascal Siakam a long-term contract extension, a max deal, and he turned it down, essentially saying, "I'm going to try to make an All-NBA team next year and potentially make myself super max eligible." So he went ahead and declined the offer. Fell 15 votes short of the All-NBA, and now he's at a point where the max deal is the biggest deal he can get. So he
Right.
apparently has made it clear that what I want to do is I want to sign a max deal in Toronto, but the same way that he said last summer, I want to take care of my best interest and see what I can do, see what's best for me. Toronto's now doing that same thing this summer of saying, well, you turned the max down last summer. We're going to see what's best for our best interest this summer. So the talk is that the Raptors aren't interested in paying a max deal necessarily as of right now. What they've been doing is talking to other teams. The big news is that uh, we were talking to Portland, and pick number 3 was on the table. I don't know in what capacity, if the deal was supposed to be number three plus other assets for Pascal, or if it was going to be Pascal plus other assets for number three. But that was being discussed, and then Pascal basically killed the trade entirely by saying, I have no plans to sign in Portland long term. So that fell through. Like what you said about Pascal doesn't want to play in Atlanta. From what we've heard, the point is like what he wants is he wants to be in Toronto. So it's not necessarily an indictment against other franchises. It's just that what he wants to do is stay in Toronto. He's a guy that was drafted here, obviously been here for a long time, laid his roots here, you could say, won a championship here. He has a lot going on here. If he didn't have to move, I don't think he would. But from Toronto's standpoint, we're an organization that doesn't really have a clear direction.
Right.
I don't think you can look at our team and say, okay, you're building around this player or you're building in this direction. We have a mishmash kind of a team. So I think the departure of Fred VanVleet helped the front office get some direction. And the word is that Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby are the two players that we want to get the ball, put the ball in their hands as the number 1 and 2 so they can grow. Now, if that'll work, that's a whole separate conversation. But apparently that's the idea. And if we can get some value back from Siakam to get those assets, get some assets around those players, that's what we'll do. Now, the tricky part is that when you fail to plan around these things, you find yourself in bad circumstances. So if we're trying to now trade Pascal Siakam with 1 year left on his deal, can we go to Atlanta and say, look, give us all your young talent? No, because you only have him with 1 year left on his contract, right?
Correct.
So it's a sticky situation where I think we want to get full value out of the player we have, because I think Pascal is very good. I think he'd be an awesome complement to Trae Young in Atlanta. But due to the circumstances we're in, I don't think we're in a strong position of leverage. And the only thing that could make it worse is if Pascal actually decided, you know what, signing with Toronto isn't what I want to do long term. I want to sign in Atlanta. That's like that'll be like the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to say.
Well, let me ask you this. Hey, let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
If you're Siakam, now let me give you my quick little theory. Let me know what you think. Obviously, okay, I'm gonna say this. I believe the number one reason why Siakam hasn't been moved is due to let me say it like this: hasn't been moved or re-signed is a money issue. It's a money issue somewhere, because in my head, I'm thinking, if I'm the general manager of any basketball, let me use my Hawks for example. If I'm the general manager of the Hawks and Trae Young came up for an extension, like it's a no-brainer. Like it's not even going to get far at all. You know, you may nitpick on the contract about some minor stuff, but as far as like the money, I know the value that he brings to my organization. So what I was talking to some other Raptor fans on Twitter, I was saying this: if the organization, meaning Toronto, if they feel Pascal is that valuable to whatever they're trying to do, rebuild, retool, reload, compete, whatever words that these front office want to use, if he's that important, why has there not been a deal already done? Right? So say you wait. You know what? It's 2 years left on the deal. We'll wait, see what happens. Okay, it's last year the deal right now. If I feel that he's worth what he think he is, it's a no-brainer. I'm gonna offer him the contract. We're gonna sign him. It's nothing. He never comes up for trade. It's nothing to talk about. So I'm thinking somewhere in y'all organization, in that front office, someone doesn't think he's worth the money that he thinks he's worth. Maybe he thinks he's a super max guy. Maybe he thinks he's a max guy, whatever his max contract is. He thinks that. But I'm thinking somewhere in Toronto between Masai and I forgot the guy that's above him. What's his name? Billy something? Am I tripping?
There's a Bobby Webster. He's the guy that works under. Yeah, he works under Masai.
Okay. So it's a hiccup between Masai and it's got to be somebody over Masai as far as extending Siakam to stay in Toronto. Okay. I'm thinking maybe Masai think he's worth it. Maybe the top dogs who actually signed the checks is like, no, bro. Like in Atlanta, we got to go through Tony Russell, the owner. You know, I think it's a disconnect there somewhere because, and then now when you come to the trade, right? To me, it's like obviously I don't have all the details, but to me it seems so simple. It seems to me that Toronto, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Shout out my boy Raj in the chat. He be over there with us. He's a Raptors fan too, so I know this
Is
stuff.
this him?
Yeah. I know
Oh man,
Raj.
shout
I
out
know.
to you.
Yeah, Raj. He over there. He over there getting depressed and whatnot. But so I'm thinking this right, and it's the same thing on our end because if I think as Landry Fields as the GM, if I think that Siakam's worth, I'm just making up a number. If I think he's worth 40 million over 5, whatever,
Yeah.
then and y'all and I would assume that Toronto didn't, I would just do a sign and trade. I believe it's a money issue somewhere. I can't put my finger on it because as far as the actual trade of assets, like you said, and I've been saying, Toronto put themselves in a bad position, man. They really have no leverage now. Um, like I said, I believe other executives, they looking at the situation and they're like, okay, well, Toronto can't even use another organization as leverage over us because once again, Siakam said, I'm not gonna sign an extension with anybody I'm traded to. Which now I'm starting to believe that because I don't see how Siakam is up for trade and we're offered with our offer, and there's no other team in the league that could beat what we're offering. So I believe that the best thing for the Raptors to do, because I believe y'all going in the way of Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby, personally.
Yep.
I believe
Me too.
I believe that's y'all two cornerstones. I haven't even heard OG. I think I may read one sentence about OG in a trade scenario, but besides that, you have nothing from him, nothing about Scotty Barnes. So I'm assuming that's who y'all gonna build around. Siakam, hey, I think y'all need to go ahead and like I used to tell Hawks fans when it came into John Collins, we tricked off John Collins trade value for 3 years.
Yep.
And you saw
Yep.
what we end up getting, just a trade exception, just so we could get off the money, which was
Yep.
terrible. So I'm saying I think we do provide the best deal. Dre Hunter, I think Dre Hunter will fit awesome with Siakam and with
With
OG.
Scotty and OG. Yeah.
With OG. Yeah, I think he fit good. See, the reason people like to talk crap about DeAndre Hunter, right? We rag on him too sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I rag on him sometimes only because I think he could give us more. He's a career 15-point guy, good defender, good on-ball defender, catch and shoot threes. He's around like 36, 37%. Doesn't need doesn't demand the ball. So it's not like a player. He's a player who's gonna come there and demand shots from OG or shots from Scotty Barnes. I believe that's a good deal. Now, obviously, we know that's not all of it, but I don't really see what else y'all could get for Siakam. Now, I think y'all could do. Have y'all? I don't know if any of your Raptors fans has anybody went to Siakam and said, "Hey, man, let's do. Since we can't get nothing done now, let's do a 2-and-1. Sign you for 2. We give you a player option for the second. Let's see what we got. Let's see what you can do, and then we can make an evaluation from there. Because then I believe, matter of fact, you don't even got to do the whole season. You could run it to the trade deadline,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you'll get more value because instead of him having half a season left, he got that half and another season. Well, excuse me, it's a player option, so he'll still have to opt in. But I mean, you get the gist of what I'm trying
Oh,
to say.
yeah. So
Yeah.
these are the questions you have to ask. So to get to your first point about money, right? If he's deemed worthy of a max deal, why hasn't it happened yet, right?
Right.
And I really like the solution that you proposed. I've kind of been saying it thus far is that I
Mhm.
think he should be extended. and we should explore a trade in the next little bit. But the only reason you don't do that is if you feel like his value might go down. Because if you tack on a max deal onto somebody's contract, and now that max deal is paying them more than they're actually worth, the player's value goes down. So the
Mm.
only thing I can, the only reason why that hasn't happened is if either the Raptors think that that could happen, that you tack on 2 years of max money on his deal, and then now that doesn't become a good trade asset, or if Pascal's not open to that kind of a short term deal. So one of those two things have to be true. Um, with regards to what we're going to do, I think again our biggest problem is that we had an idea of what the last year was going to look like and we were completely wrong. So fast forward, let's take us back 2 years. um we're a 5 seed, really young team. Scotty Barnes rookie year, Gary Trent Jr. his first year, full year in Toronto, young roster. Win I think 2 playoff games. The idea is we're going to take a step forward the next year. How big of a step it is, that wasn't made clear, but the idea is we're going to get better. And then basically everything went wrong. You got the coach beefing with the players, you got the younger players beefing with the older players, you got guys that are looking to get paid because they're on their last year of their deals. Everything goes wrong. And the biggest byproduct of that is that everybody's values at an all-time low. Like, let's say we wanted to do the opposite of what we're thinking about, and we're trying to trade Scotty Barnes to build around, like, to get a premier player to put next to Pascal and maybe go for it. You can't do that because everybody's value dropped. So we're in a position where our front office is scrambling. So when you point out that there might be some disagreements within the front office, I think that there's a bigger thing there of just there's no vision, there's no clear path forward. And because of that, I think you spoke to the Raptors having no leverage. We have no leverage because we've backed ourselves into a corner.
Right. Right.
Something that I think maybe Hawks fans haven't heard about regarding our players. OG Anunoby is basically in the situation that Jeremy Grant was in with Denver, where he basically wants to go to a situation where he can get the ball more. So he also is entering the last year of his deal, and the rumor is that he fired his agent. He's telling his new agents, "Hey, just get me to a city where I'm the number one guy, because I think that I have untapped potential I haven't been able to show because I've always been in Toronto next to players like DeMar DeRozan, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam. I've never been the guy,
Right.
justifiably. Put me in a situation where I can show that." So the thing is if we keep Pascal, OG probably leaves. If we keep OG, that's probably because we got rid of Pascal. We're really in a situation where it's one or the other, but they're both in their last year of their deal. So you're going to have to trade somebody and you're not going to get good value. We kind of just have to take our medicine in that regard. We have to take whatever deal we can get that's the best on the table to amend that situation. Of course, that's assuming that there is no way to get them both under contract and both on the court. But the again, the hard part about having such a bad year last year, it's hard to talk your owners into paying a roster that didn't make the playoffs. It's hard to sell your fans on the idea of running it back with a team that didn't make the playoffs, basically the same team without Fred VanVleet now. It's a really hard sell to continue forward, but any change necessitates basically making a bad deal initially, taking your medicine, and then moving forward. So I think with Pascal Siakam, being that he's 29 years old, he's an older player. OG, as a 26-year-old, you can give him a deal, and in a couple years, he's still a fairly good trade asset, right? So I would rather go that route of trading Pascal. It's realistically just the best thing we can do at this point, assuming like all the information that we know is true. So with that being the case, being that Pascal Siakam already essentially killed one trade with Portland, he kind of is in control. And if Atlanta's the one team he hasn't shot down yet, I think there's probably something there, because if he shot down Portland and then the team just moved elsewhere, if he shot down Atlanta, I'm assuming the same thing would have happened. So the fact that Atlanta is still interested, I'm thinking is an indicator that he's at least open-minded, or he's not completely against it, or it's not just quite a closed door yet. So that's why I think the Atlanta stuff makes sense. All of our local, one of our local writers that actually works for a TV channel that's owned by some of the people that own the Raptors did say that there's a 70% chance he's traded. One of the national writers in basketball, I forget his name, but he did say that it's more likely that he's traded. So it is looking like he'll be traded. It is looking that Atlanta is the primary destination, because we already heard that Portland got shot down. The other names that we've heard are Indiana and Orlando. And I think you talked about Toronto using other teams against Atlanta. I think that's the attempt there. Like I don't doubt that Orlando and Indy checked in on Pascal, but I highly doubt that they're more motivated than Atlanta to make a deal happen, because I think it would be a little bit early for both those franchises to make that pivot from young talent to older established talent, right? I think that's coming. Yeah, I think that's coming a couple years down the road for those franchises. I
Yeah.
don't buy it that those teams are really in for Pascal the way Atlanta would be. So,
You see,
yeah.
you know
So
what,
go
Alan?
ahead.
Let me say this,
Yep.
man. It's like this. Okay, so yeah, I agree with you. Like, he turned down Portland. I don't blame him. I mean, Pascal's what, 29?
Yep.
That's really want to go to a rebuilding team, because that's what they're doing in Portland. He probably wants to go somewhere to where he can compete. He probably does. To be honest, he probably does prefer to stay in Toronto. Like you said, it's something about when you drafted by a team and that's really all you know is this team you're with, you kind of want to stay there, right?
And you win their first chips. You have a lot of goodwill with the
Yeah,
fans.
like yeah. See, I can get traded. It ain't like when he come back, he gonna get booed. He probably get a standing ovation. Probably get a little video done for him. You know what I'm saying? Because fans recognize that. Um, like you said, I knew the Indiana, Orlando. I know if Pascal had some years on the deal and something like this was happening, then maybe I could see an Indiana, not Orlando, because Orlando, they started from the ground up and now they got a whole bunch of pieces working in their favors now. You know what I'm saying? With the France kid, with Paulo, they got a lot of stuff going their way. A Siakam guy he needs a team like Atlanta, right? Like you said, it's hard to figure out what a team going to do when you don't know the direction. And that's how we was this summer before Landry Fields and them started making moves. I really thought we was going to really run it back because due to our ownership not wanting to go into the luxury tax. Now, even though we make a move for Siakam, if those two players, Capella and Clint, is moved in that deal, we still don't pay the tax because of the money that they make total, the Siakam and whatever move is made to Dallas that covers that. So we still not in the tax. But once we start making these moves, these small trades, Landry Fields and them was doing, my guy Murray extended for the low. I didn't think he was going to take that cheap of a contract. He didn't have to take that contract. He could have played out this whole season and had us in the same situation y'all kind of are with Siakam. Is he going to extend? How much money is it going to cost? Are we going to move him before the deadline? We're going to lose him for nothing. I think this, man, the best thing for the Raptors to do is go ahead and trade Siakam, man, because you already lost. I don't care what people really think of Van Fleet, but the dude here, let's keep it real, he's a champion and he's an all-star. And you don't like losing those players for nothing. He got paid $40 million for a reason. Now, we could say he got overpaid, but I mean, if somebody offering him that type of money, to me, I could have got some value for that guy. You know what I'm saying? So do you really want to lose? I think I was reading some stuff about the Raptors, or I heard it somewhere, to where that from y'all championship team, everybody who's left, the only thing y'all really got in return was Princess Achua. I think I read something to that
Yeah.
effect.
So Kyle Lowry got flipped in a sign and trade for Precious Achua, but Danny Green left for nothing in free agency. Kawhi left for nothing. Serge and Mark Gasol left for nothing. Norman Powell got us Gary Trent Jr. So that's what it is. Gary Trent and Precious Achua is what we've gotten back. And a lot of that has been obviously conscious decision making. We let Kyle Lowry get to free agency, which is why a sign and trade is all we could get. We let Van Vliet get to free agency. Now, mind you, I think the idea was that there was no forecasting Houston putting a max offer on the table. I think if they knew that, they would have operated differently in the situation. I think Houston putting a max deal on the table is something that just they did not see coming, and it really just like again it two things really blindsided them this past like year. You could say it was the really bad season we had last year, and then that. So we're scrambling because of those things. But yeah,
Mhm.
like we've let situations get to the very end. I have a couple fans that come up on the channel where they talk about how like our front office is just slow. Like they operate
Yeah.
at a snail's pace. Things happen really late. Things don't happen on time. So
Right,
you
right.
know,
We do the same thing, man. That's why I always tell everybody on our show, man. They know what my mind thinking. I always tell them I'm always thinking as a fan GM. I'm always thinking a year or two ahead. Like every
oh yeah,
move that I'm thinking about, I'm thinking a year or two. Just like with the Siakam trade, a lot of fans they're like, well, what if he leaves? And I'm telling him, look, I'm already a year ahead. If Siakam comes here and he don't extend, we're not hurt because guess what? That just frees up $35 million in cap space for us if he leaves. You know what I'm saying? So just thinking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, a year or two ahead, because it seems like y'all let a lot of y'all guys go to free agency, and
yeah.
and in my opinion, like I say on my channel, I'm just a fan. I'm not no basketball guru or no insider.
Just like me. Just
Yeah,
like me. Yep.
but what that tells me is, does the front office have faith in those players? Because you know what, y'all lost Van Fleet, right? And I know I'm pivoting a little bit, but y'all lost Van Fleet, and you said they didn't expect nobody to put that offer on the table. I think they knew something was coming because agents. What I learned, agents talk to these general managers, other players. They talk. They knew something was coming because if I remember correctly, I don't even think y'all made Van Fleet an offer.
Yeah, so whether they made an offer or not, I'm not entirely sure. But what I heard was that the Raptors they were looking at it like he's where we could probably get him for like 33 million a year. Again, like I think the rumors of Houston putting a really big deal on the table, they
Mhm,
started to get out maybe about a month before free agency. So there was a point where I think Houston was initially looking at a couple other guys, and then Fred was 3 or 4 on their list, and they ended up with Fred. But yeah, I think as soon as that happened, that got out. And we've been hearing about Houston and Fred for about a month now.
mhm,
So yeah, I think they thought 30s in the 30s was kind of where his value was. And
mhm.
they were looking at it like the way the landscape of the NBA is, the bad teams have the cap space, the good teams don't. So if he wants to go to the Clippers, let's say, because apparently they had interest, that has to be a sign and trade. You have a little bit of leverage if it's you versus the Clippers, because you can just not cooperate with the sign and trade, and now he's kind of in no man's land. But
Y'all could have signed and traded Van Fleet too, man. I
just
think
like that's
you know what,
that's
man.
what
I
like
think some of them players, maybe some of those players, you think Van Fleet had an issue with the front office? Because he could have easily said, "Hey guys, I want to look out for the guys over here. Let's do a little sign and trade."
yeah.
You know,
I think so. He was the one. So he was apparently the leader of the people who had issues with their young guys. So the whole story is that the front office, the coaching staff, and Siakam, Van Vliet, and like the older contingent of players on our roster, they all took issue with the young guys and kind of like their attitudes towards basketball, their attitudes towards getting better. There's kind of like apparently a generational gap, because if you look at Siakam and Van Vliet undrafted, Siakam 27th overall,
mhm.
both players that started out in the G League early in their career, came up as bench players, grew into the players that would go on to be contributors to a championship team, and like very much like get it out the mud kind of guys. And then like apparently there's like this generational gap between now like the younger players that are like 20, 21, that just don't have the same approach towards their careers. And apparently Pascal's the more quiet guy, soft spoken. He's not the one that's going to be at the forefront of that kind of conflict, but Van Vliet was. So Van Vliet was the one that was apparently the one who was talking directly to the young players, who was voicing the concerns, who was making it clear where his feelings were.
Mm-hmm.
So he was somebody who I think definitely butt heads with the younger players. The management had there's a story that in November, Masai had to fly in from Toronto to Brooklyn while we were in Brooklyn to play the Nets, to have a talk with Scotty Barnes, to sit him down and say, hey, you have to take this basketball stuff more seriously. Nick Nurse obviously left Toronto. I think that even though he was fired, he was happy to leave, because I don't think he found out pretty quickly he's not cut out to connect with this younger generation of players. So yeah, I think Fred VanVleet got on a podcast and even said like it was time to move on. I think a
Right.
lot of people off of last year are looking to transition to a different scenario. So
And that's
that
what
happened with Fred. Yeah, go ahead.
and you know what, man? My bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, go ahead, go ahead.
that's the type of issues you have, man, when you know when you, I tell people this all the time, man. It's real hard to build a a good team not when it comes to skill set, but when it comes to the chemistry. Because see, you have to have an equal balance. The reason you want those veterans, I mean, it's certain veterans you want on your team. Why? Because those young players will respect that veteran strictly off their time in the league, what they've accomplished. Then when it comes to like your star players, you want your young players to respect those star players based off of their position in the league, in the team, what they've done, what they have accomplished, right? And you have to have a coach who can who understands what the young players are going through. Because to me, a coach really need to focus on the younger players more than the veterans. The veterans been here, done that. Basically, you just need to tap in with those guys. It's the young players. It's the Scotty Barnes to where you're like, hey, I'm checking on this guy every day. Hey, are we getting it in? What you got going on? Help him get in that mentality. I think Toronto, I think the front office, they never figured out how to get the younger players. Well, both I'll just say all the players to respect each other as professionals, right? Because at the end
100%.
of
Yeah.
the day, like I tell people all the time, man, even when you can apply to your regular job, you don't have to like the person you work with. If y'all both have the same goal to accomplish, we all on the same team. We want to win the title. I don't have to like you personally, but I have to respect you. Now, does liking you help? Yeah, because guess what? Then I'll die for that loose ball. I'll come over there when I think somebody trying to mess with you and stand up for you. So it does help. We had situations similar like that, man. But a lot of our older guys, they wanted to leave anyway, and our general manager, it was Travis Link at the time. He moved out all our older players, the Dwight Howard. He moved out Millsap, and I'm talking about he didn't even give these guys a offer. He let them leave, just so he could start over and build with strictly young players. Because then you can get a coach that matches the young players, right? But with Siakam, I think Siakam, man, if you come to Atlanta, let me go and put it out there. When he come to Atlanta, let me go about that. When he come to Atlanta, I think he's going to see. And I ain't gonna front. We get the city of Atlanta, not even the city of Atlanta, the Atlanta Hawks. We got a label, right? A lot of casual fan bases love to hate on the Hawks. But I think with Siakam down there, with Trae Young, all NBA has besides Kawhi, he hadn't played with another all NBA player. You got an all NBA player right there in Trae. You got, I think, who I consider the leader of the team, DeJounte Murray, as far as attitude, as getting people focused. Hey, we're about winning. And you see that when we got our young players, the Buffkin, Mohamed Gay, Seth Lundy, this year we drafted them, and they asked those guys, hey, has any of the veterans reached out to y'all? They all said the same thing. Hey, DeJounte Murray called me the first day and let us know, hey, it's time to get to work. You know what I'm saying? So I think an issue like Toronto had, Siakam come to Atlanta, he want to experience that because we have someone who, well, obviously, He's not gonna hold Trey, but all the other players, you know, he holds them accountable because a lot of our players are young. You know, hell, Trey Young. I think Trey only 24 or 25. No, he 24. 24, I think Clint Capella, the oldest player on the team. So I mean, I think Siakam come to Atlanta, man, he'll slide into that I would assume the 4 position. Um, and I think he's gonna be a much needed addition. I know a lot of fans don't want to take that gamble on a 1-year rental, but I'm gonna tell you like this, I've been an Atlanta Hawk fan, like physically rooting for the Hawks for 35 years. Okay. I can't remember the last time, because to me, this is an all-in move for me, going after a guy at this level, giving up those assets just for. We have not done this in forever, so I'm excited about the move. When it goes through, I'm excited about it. I think Siakam. I actually believe Siakam can come down here and sign an extension. I believe he'll stay. I believe that we can get in here. We can run some of these teams. We can win some games, go deep in the playoffs. We get Siakam. That gives us Trey, Siakam, Murray as our core 3. I ain't gonna say big 3 because I know some people get upset about that, but our core 3, with, you know, if we don't lose Sadiq Bey, you have Bey, Bogey, JJ, AJ, Akonwu, and our young players, our young rookies. So I think he'll be a perfect fit down here, and I think he'll like it down here, man. Like a lot of players live in Atlanta, man. They just don't play in Atlanta.
It's a hub. It's a hub. If you keep, track of what young people with money want to do and where they want to be at. Atlanta is a hub. My thing, I guess we'll pivot to Siakam in Atlanta. I'm looking at the chat, and I think a lot of your chat isn't really too high on Siakam. I see Siakam is another Boris DL. I see drinking the Raptors Kool-Aid. What is it? I told you Toronto people are smart. They've baited you. I see your. I don't. It seems like your chat isn't quite in line with where you're at.
See, some of these cats, man. Like at the end of the day, that's what I'm gonna tell you about Hawks fans.
Yeah,
we don't have a championship in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a finals appearance in Atlanta. At the end of the day, and some of them, I know my guy Dave Foot, they're old as me, so they've been rooting for these dudes for a long time. It's a difference between our older fans like me and our younger. See, our younger fans, they got all this patience. You know, they're in their 20s. Hey, we can build with the young guy. Woo, woo, woo. But guys like me, Foot, you know, we've been through when we won 13 games. We've been through hard times. We've been through rebuild after rebuild. Top 10 pick that don't pan out. So that's why I'm at the point to where I'm ready to roll the dice on a Siakam. My boy Solution, I don't know if you see him up in the chat. He understands it too. Like, we've been rooting for these dudes for a long time. And for us to be in this position, well, the first thing you're going to hear, is you're going to hear,
50 years.
ATL Kool-Aid, whatever Trey Young do, he love it, man. Just he just pro Trey. But I tell you like this, man. We always say this, and I don't know how many Hawk fans you ever met, but before we got Trey Young, all you hear is this: we can't get a star, we can't get a superstar, blah 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 blah. Now we got one, but a lot of fans don't understand what comes with having a superstar player. When you got a superstar player, you can't put budget players around them. Those superstars, they don't want to sit around and wait another 3-4 years and hope a guy turns out to be something. So guys like me, give me Siakam, already an all NBA player, NBA champion, proven at the NBA level. A lot of the reason they don't want him is, one, the money. But like I tell them, we're not even going to be in the text if we get him this year, if we get off Hunter and Capella. And two, the extension, which I told them. Look at Toronto. I mean, I'm sure there was a whole bunch of Toronto fans who said, we don't want to give up DeMar DeRozan. He's like a cornerstone in Raptors history. Y'all gave him up for Kawhi. And some of these fans don't want to give up Clint freaking Capella, Hunter, and one of these young dudes to take that to roll that dice. You feel me? I'm ready to roll the dice. Give them up.
I, I hear you. I hear you. So with regards to Pascal in Atlanta, so I guess we'll pivot to that, right?
Yeah.
I think he's a lot better than what a lot of this chat is painting him to be. I guess
Mm-hmm.
my trouble is that ultimately, if you're talking championships, you're talking about Denver, you're talking about if Phoenix figures their role players out, and like I'm trying to think of like the rest of the top class of the NBA, a healthy Clippers maybe, but like you're talking about those teams. I think if you guys get Siakam, honestly, I still I think I'm still taking Denver. But obviously the thing is like it's sports, it's not played on paper. You want to give yourself a puncher's chance and you want
Right.
to see what happens from that point onwards. So that's the thing. I like Trey Young a lot. I think in terms of being a scorer in the playoffs, he's got the skill set, he's got the mentality, he's got the confidence. He's not going to be wavered in any situation, I don't think. As far as Pascal Siakam, he's taken a jump in each of the last 2 years, and I don't think that the NBA community is in a position to notice it because of where the Raptors were at. So, what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by this is that well, let's go through his career. Year one, he's in the G League. Year two, mind you, he's in the G League and they win the championship, which is important to some people, not to others. Year two, he's a part of our bench unit, and our bench unit's one of the best in the NBA. Year three, his first year as a starter, he is our second option on a team that goes on to win a championship, right? Year four, Kawhi leaves and he's I guess you could say like our number one scoring option, and he fails at that point. That season did not go well. We went to the bubble. He got exposed against Boston in the bubble. The next year after that, we're playing in Tampa Bay because of COVID, and that season is just a mess. You throw that in the trash, right? Year after that, this is 2 years ago. Pascal learned from his failures his first year as a number one option and came back with a much better feel for the game. He was somebody who did thrive as a scorer, as in you could expect 25 to 26 from him.
Mm-hmm.
And this was all in the context of the fact that we had no spacing. So we're putting out lineups there where there is 1 to 2 demonstrated shooters. Everybody else is a maybe from the 3-point line. So as a guy whose game is getting to the basket, when you play with other players that are going to be in the lane and they're crowding the lane for you, that makes your life more difficult. But he persevered through that, and I was really impressed. So I think about his resume as a player that's not the number one guy, but then his ability to thrive as the number one guy. Just as a player watching as a fan watching the development of a player, I was impressed. Now he
Let me ask
gets
you
this
this. Hey,
past year.
hey, does Siakam draw when he was the number one option, was he drawing double teams from other teams?
So this is what happened last year. Last year he was double teamed. So the playoffs 2 years ago is when he started to get double teamed aggressively. Last year he learned how to use that to create for others. Last year he had games with double digits assists all the time. I think he averaged around 7. But last year he learned to use double teams as a situation. Like he learned how to play make in that situation. Now DJ here is saying Siakam is not a number one. He's not a number one on a championship caliber team. He's 100,000% a number one for a team that's just trying to win 45 to 48 games and maybe win a few games in the playoffs. He can be a number one option in that context. Now, you guys aren't asking him to be a number one. You have Trey Young. You're asking him to be a number two. So for what I think he would be in Atlanta, he's the kind of player that is going to, again, from a personality standpoint, he's not going to step on people's toes. He's not going to show up and try to be the guy in the locker room. He'll fit into whatever you guys have in the way of a leadership structure. He's not going to show up and demand 30 shots a night because he was our number one out of circumstance. Kawhi left. We traded DeMar. He had to be our number one. He's a guy who just fit into your team. He's going to have the potential to go for 30 if need be. Again, not on a night in, night out basis, but in a few games here and there, he'll get the job done. Again, last year especially, he learned a lot about moving the basketball. He learned a lot about using two defenders committed to him to find an open three. Last year, it was so tough to see him generate open three after open three after open three and see our players just miss the shot almost every time. So when I look at you guys, if he's generating those looks for Bogdanovic, if he's generating those looks for Trey, or if you guys hold on to Hunter somehow or any of these guys, he's going to get a lot more assists. So
but see, I tell
I
you
think
like this,
yeah.
I tell you like this, man. See, people like me who want Siakam, I'm not asking him to be the number one guy. I don't need him to be the number one guy. We all know. Don't let none of these Hawks fans fool you. They know who the offense going through Trae Young, because Trae Young, at bare minimum, is an elite playmaker. At a minimum, right? Watching Summer League, we starting to see a glimpse of what Coach Quinn want us to run. We're running basically 5 out. If you watching some Summer League, everybody in the chat, if y'all been watching Summer League, you've seen everybody's at that 3-point line, and everybody who been on that court can shoot the three. So the reason I asked you about the double team is because, see, on the Hawks, even with Murray, last year, he didn't demand a double team. So when you put Trey out there with Siakam, now you just can't double Trae Young, because now guess who's left open? A couple of passes, boom, boom, you got it to Siakam. And back to what you were saying, he liked to get to the basket. Guess what? That lane about to be wide open. That's why Clint Capella is not going to be here. One way or another, he will not be on this court because he will clog the lane. That's why we're going to have a Kongu out there who can move out of the paint, and he can hit the little jumper from the free throw area. So his man has to respect him and just can't play off of him like you can do Capella. So, and that's what I'm asking. I want him to come in here, be another legit ball handler on the court, 3-point threat, but can get to the basket. And I think a lot of people sleep on, when need to, sometimes he can play with his back to the basket. You know, I've seen him back the ball down a couple of times. It's not a main part of his game, but when the offense slow down, the pace slow down, a la playoffs, you know what I'm saying? And you need a big body to get down there. Hey, let's slow it up. Woo, woo, woo. He gives us another dimension to score the basketball. And I think Siakam gonna come to Atlanta. When he get to Atlanta, Raj, because he coming. When he get to Atlanta, he gonna fit perfectly, man. I think a lot of these Hawks fans, if it on the part of what you said, Alan, they holding Siakam to a standard that I think our organization is not holding him to. I don't think our organization is looking at him as a number one option, or we need him to go out there and get us 30 every night. We need him to come in here and just play his style of basketball, because that lane gonna be open. It's gonna be a whole bunch of 3-point shooting we shooting this year because of Coach Quinn and the 5 out that we're gonna run. And I mean, and a lot of these fans, they're just scared to take risks, man. They just scared to take risks. And let me answer one question in the chat real quick, though. Shout out my guy, That's So Hunted, man. He actually a Miami Heat fan, man. Shout out That's So Hunted. Listen.
Oh, shout out That's So Hunted 305.
Hey, make sure you tap in, Hunted, with my guy Alan right here, man. Raptors guy. Check it, right? I was thinking the same thing until guess what I did? I went to go look at the Summer League rebounding. And I put it, if y'all follow me on Twitter, and don't worry, I'll put it on YouTube. Do you know yesterday when we played Philly with no legit big out there, there was no 7-foot on that roster out there yesterday. Do y'all guys know we was a plus 17 on the boards yesterday? Yesterday, we was a plus 15 on offensive rebounding yesterday. I was thinking the same thing, guys. But I'm gonna go when I get off of here. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at the other 3 Summer League games to see what rebounding was looking like. We don't get killed on the boards like y'all think we get killed on the boards, guys. And besides, you got another big body out there with Siakam, if need be, because it's just gonna be a bunch of gang rebounding, man. That's what it's gonna be. If you look at the game yesterday. I'm not comparing NBA to the Summer League, my guy. I'm not even comparing them. I'm just showing you the style of basketball that Coach Quinn wants us to play you can still get rebounds. That's my point. That's my point. But I mean, a lot of these guys don't want Siakam. I mean, hell, you could have Michael Jordan available right now, and some of these dudes would be like, nah, he a role player. He ain't worth the money. Listen, roll the dice, go get this guy. Let's see what we can do. Why y'all want to run it back with the same dudes? My bad, man. The chat be getting me fired up, and they do it on
Oh,
purpose, man.
see,
Go ahead, man. Because they
no,
know
I'm all the way with you because I'm reading some of this stuff about Siakam and I'm thinking, okay, I don't think it's fair to look at Siakam this way. If you guys want to look at the Hawks situation that way, that's a separate story. But like, I can understand looking at it like, we have Trae Young. We don't want to waste our years with Trae Young, so let's make the absolute best moves. But there's no guarantee that there is a better move out there. Like I think somebody brought Giannis up in the chat earlier, and of course, shoot for the stars. Shoot for the stars for real, but shoot for the stars. I get it, but like you might not get that opportunity. There's a lot of better. They're not well. There's a handful of better players than Siakam that might get to the market, but who's to say that you're going to get your hands on those players?
We not.
Yeah, like, that's what it is. You have to roll the dice at some point. Like at the end of the day, if the Raptors never rolled the dice with Kawhi, who you could say there was a lot of issues with that trade. If we didn't roll the dice, we don't have a championship. So you gotta get a lucky break. We got a lucky break in 2019 when the Warriors got their injuries. And this is what you have to do when you're not one of those elite franchises in basketball. You have to find a window where you have a chance. You have to roll the dice, put the best team on the court you can possibly put, and see what happens. And yeah, I just think that at the end of the day, with Pascal, like let's be real, you guys probably don't watch Raptors games like that. Like it's totally understandable. It's fair. I understand. Like the people in the chat, that's who I'm talking to. You guys probably haven't watched a lot of Pascal. You may have watched him in the playoffs here and there and seen him miss some free throws in the playoffs. Yes, that's happened. But this is a guy who's played such good basketball. Actually, I think a really good example of what he can look like on a good day is I think the first game that the Raptors played the Hawks last year, where I think we won by like 40 and the starters got pulled out of the game with 8 minutes to go. If anyone remembers that game, he was picking the defense apart and finding people throughout the game that day. And of course, you can criticize that, like that's prior to you guys firing your coach last year, so not the highest bar. So I get it, but I don't know. You have to roll the dice at some point. Pascal is an opportunity that you have. My big thing is like, so I guess we can get to the other side of things. When I look at what I want for Pascal Siakam and what you guys have, it feels like there's a bit of a mismatch, right? So you mentioned wanting Okonkwo to be your starting five. So who are the players, like I'll put it this way, right? You have Trae and you have Pascal. Who are the players that you want to have around them? Because then we can like look at that and say, who are the players that you didn't mention and who are the players that I guess you would be like quick to get out the door?
I could tell you it'd be fast for me to tell you who we're gonna get out the door. And I'm sure the chat gonna chime in. They got the people they want to get rid of, but
Yeah.
Hunter got to go. Capella has to go. As far as my young players, me personally, knowing the position that the Raptors in, I'm not giving up no young players. I'm not giving. I hate to sound brutal. I hate to sound unfair, but I'm just trying. To me, y'all really have no leverage. So I'm not gonna bid against myself. I'm not gonna give up nothing that I don't have to. I think the best, if I had to give up one of my young studs, maybe Buffkin. Besides that, I'm not giving up no young player, man, because like y'all really have no leverage. Like I said, if y'all was showing him love and y'all was like in the contract negotiations and I'm trying to pry him from y'all, like how we did. See, let me explain something. The way we got DeJounte Murray isn't the same way we trying to get Siakam. We actually went to San Antonio for Murray on the strength of Trae. Murray was never available for trade. So when a player is not available and he still had 2 years left on his contract, that's where you get us having to overpay the 3 first-round picks unprotected, the pick swap. But when I'm looking at the Siakam situation, it's no reason for me to give up any young talent. It's no reason for me to give up anything that doesn't help me. At the end of the day, getting Pascal help me, getting off Hunter's contract help me, getting off of Capella's extension helps me. So I don't really, if I'm being honest, like I can't really say I'm gonna give up. You definitely ain't getting on Congo, so I don't even know why people even bring that up. That ain't happening. And that's why I said maybe Buffkin if like I just need to edge it over, push the trade over. But I mean, because you know what I could do, Alan? I can always say this. You know what, Masai? Since you don't want to take that deal, I'll come holler back at you at the trade deadline. And guess what I'm
See,
gonna do? Guess what I'm gonna do at the trade deadline if he ain't got no
price goes even lower. Price goes even
exactly.
lower.
I'm gonna offer you half of that. Not even half.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna offer you just enough to clear the salary. So, and that's why I'm saying when I say Toronto don't really have leverage. I think it's a different ball game if y'all extended them though.
Oh, 100%. And this is why I think everything you said makes perfect logical sense, right? It's the sensible way to maneuver the situation. And because that's the case, if we're playing the GM game, you're Landry Fields, I'm Masai, I'm
Yeah.
taking everything you just said and I'm turning to Siakam and I'm saying, look, let's get this deal done. Because here's the thing, from our perspective, I don't think there's anything in it for us if we can't get young players. If we're looking to give expanded roles to OG and Scotty Barnes, that's not a win now thing. Like, I don't think it makes any sense to get pieces that would help us win games right now if that's what we're doing. This is becoming a long-term vision kind of a thing. So if I'm looking at it like, I understand the value that Hunter would have like as an asset, right? But I like my whole opinion on this has been if we can get some of your younger players, that's what I'm looking for. If that's not on the table, I'm looking at Pascal and I'm saying, look, let's get an extension done. Let's work this out, and then let's figure it out down the road. Let's hold tight till January. Come January, we'll see what happens, right? I'll
But
take you guys to a
that's not
little
going
bit
to happen.
earlier.
We know
Yeah,
that's
so
not going to happen.
that's the thing though. Like people are
Because
making it seem like
y'all
it's not.
can't agree on the number. See, that's what I'm saying. I already know that's not going to happen because that would have already been happened. It's obviously a money issue, and that's why I keep telling people someone in that Raptors organization does not think Siakam is worth what he think he's worth to the organization, and it'd be easier if y'all just move him. And I know it's gonna look if I'm sitting in a Raptors GM position, if I'm sitting in the Raptors, if I'm a person that's in charge of selling season tickets, yeah, that's gonna look real bad that we got Siakam and really didn't get nothing in return. We lost Van Fleet. How I'm gonna sell these tickets? How I'm gonna sell this to the fan base? But that falls back on when your front office, and y'all heard me talk about this with the Hawks. This what happens when you're a reactive front office and not proactive.
Not proactive. Yeah.
They should have known last year what route y'all want to go, guys. I'm liking Scotty. I'm liking OG. They're the younger dudes. They're the future. Let's build in front of. We should have been discussing Siakam last year this time, moving him. Think about the return you would have got if you move him last year this time.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like again, our biggest issue is that we called our shot last summer and we were just completely wrong. We thought we were going to take steps forward. Mind you, last year we offered Pascal a max level extension. And this is where I think the thing is when you talk about the Raptors not wanting to pay him, I think it's a little bit more layered than that because I don't think the issue is he worth the money? I think the issue is it smart to give him the money? I think that's the bigger thing because we offered him last year, we offered him the max extension. He turned it down because he wanted to get an all NBA nod and get a super max.
Right.
and they offered Van Vliet an extension. So the money stuff in the NBA is a little bit complicated. If you want to work an extension out to an existing deal, it's like 130% of their last year's salary. So Fred Van Vliet's max deal was at about 4 years, 114 million. So much less than what you got paid, but they offered him his max. Both of them turned their deals down. But the goal last summer was, hey, we're a 5 seed. We're fairly young. We have young players, and then we have old players that have been there for a championship team that have that championship pedigree. The vision felt clear. And then last year happened and it blew the whole vision up. So I think the issue isn't, is he worth the money? The issue is it smart to pay him the money? Because he's 29 years old, which isn't old like in this modern day of sports medicine and players playing well into their like 32, 33, 34 age. Like that age, you can count on a player almost to play well, right? So it's not that he's old, but like, again, the bigger deal is that I think paying Siakam means OG is in a position where he leaves. So now you have to weigh one player against the other. You also have to look at it like Pascal Siakam's max deal. How movable is that in the future? So you guys are looking at it now like we could trade for Pascal 1 year on fairly good money, and then we get to decide what we want to pay him going forward. But if we tacked on, let's say, 4 years of a max deal onto his contract, and let's say he comes out and has a slow start next year, now you guys are looking at it like, do we even want to trade for Pascal Siakam anymore? Right. So I think the team is now looking at it like, again, we offered him a max deal last year. That was on the table. We happily did it. And what I would say is that if he was younger and he fit the timeline of Scotty and OG more, I think we would have handed him the max deal. Like it just would have happened already. I think the question is that, okay, we have to be careful about asset management going forward because we've messed it up so badly in the past. So
that's why you got to start thinking. This is what I was telling these guys in the chat. In chat, y'all know I'm right on this. A couple months ago, I was saying you have to offer offer DeJounte Murray an extension now, even though up here the smart money says he's going to wait and test the free agent market. He's going to be unrestricted. And I told him, I said, if I'm the GM, I'm putting a number in my head. I think Murray worth whatever. I'm going to offer him that contract, 3-4 year deal, whatever. If he says no, you have to move on. So, hey, the time, as soon as him and Fred turned down that extension, I would have been on the phone. He would have been gone. Because guess what? Like I said earlier, imagine the assets you would have had coming in. You might not have got much for Van Fleet because he would have been a free agent. Look at all the assets coming in. Because if they're not going to take a max extension, Siakam not taking max extension, and Van Fleet not taking all that money you offering them, what makes you think they're going to change their mind, right? So it seems like that Siakam's camp and the Raptors have changed their mind. Siakam thought he was going to get all NBA, so he turned down the max money. Toronto thought he was worth the max money. Yep. Obviously, they don't think he's worth max money right now. So the front office, once again, being now they're back in that, instead of being proactive and shopping them, I don't know if you follow American football, but
love American football.
Bill Belichick, you see, he get rid of people a year early. And
coach and the GM. He's the coach and the GM. He'll get guys out of here early.
He sells high. And like I said, if y'all would have traded him last year, hey, we got a max offer for you, Siakam. No, I'm gonna wait. I'm on the phone.
Out of here. Out of here.
Because guess what? If I'm the GM, I'm in the front office. Why am I gonna let a player basically hold me hostage? I now gotta hope he stays. Same thing I was telling them about Murray. Why would you wait? Why would you wait? And then when the offseason come, now you praying he take this deal, or you praying another team, a la Van Fleet, don't offer him more money than what you want to pay him. And then you end up losing him for what? For nothing. The only difference between Murray and Van Fleet, we had 3 first-round picks invested in this guy. We would have been out Murray and 3 picks. So and that's what it all goes back to. The front office is not being proactive on Siakam. And like I said, something changed because Siakam, for y'all, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, he's been consistent with y'all, especially since when he first starting, not as a, and I'm not even saying as a number one, just overall in general, he's been consistent. He don't miss a lot of games. You know what you're gonna get from this guy, and for them to offer him the max, and then now don't want to give him the max, or let me think about it, or maybe Toronto did offer him the max recently, and he says no, I want more. Well, no, he can't because he didn't make All NBA.
Yeah. So this is the thing. In theory, he could make that bet again. He could say, you know what, I'm turning down the max. Maybe I'll make all NBA this year, and then I could get the super max next offseason. But here's the thing: a report came out saying that this is from two national NBA writers, Zach Lowe, and then some other guy, I forget his name. Oh, I think
Mhm.
Jake Fisher. They
Right.
said that Siakam's not. He's not going to make that same bet because what he learned last year is that he had an awesome year last year. Again, like it doesn't show because we didn't make the playoffs. And our team wasn't good, but he had an awesome year last year. He fell 15 votes shy of all NBA. And the thing you have to realize, or like I think thing players realize, is that all NBA, these kind of things are also in a way team nods, because you don't get all NBA on the 14th seed. You have to be a good team to get that kind of recognition. So you look at the Raptors with where we're at. We lost Fred VanVleet. What are the odds next year that it'll happen? If he's taking that bet, he has more to lose than he has to gain. So
He got
he
a better
basically,
he got a better chance to make it All NBA with us being a second option.
yeah. Well, and with that, like at that point, it's the same situation because I believe the Supermax is you you get it with the team you were with for a certain amount of years. It's complicated, but like I think if he were to get traded to Atlanta, that already kills the Supermax. So it's one of those things where across like there's different ways of moving forward that have basically that don't involve the supermax. So that's probably something that's not in his future, and it's been said that that's not something that's not the bet he's going to take again. He wants the extension now this offseason. So we'll see what happens. It's again, we still haven't heard an update about where he's at, what he wants to do now. All we heard last is that he wanted to extend in Toronto, and that hasn't happened yet. And you have to wonder why, because as every day goes by, it gets less and less justifiable to say that Toronto plans to hand him any money. Because
Yeah,
why would you have not done it already?
yeah,
And the other thing to keep in mind too is that if it's not like a domino has to fall to change the circumstances in the NBA, right? Like nobody's gonna now all of a sudden want to put more on the table for Siakam, like out of nowhere, if nothing happens. Like, let's say Dame gets traded, and then that causes a domino effect of teams looking at themselves and other teams differently, right? That could trigger a change. But if no big change happens, nothing's probably going to happen differently in terms of what teams are putting on the offer for putting on the table for Siakam. So you have to like question again, like what's going to change. It's like a staring contest in a way. Like someone's got to budge, right?
and how
Either
many teams willing to take that risk on him walking
yep,
to give you what anything? I mean, I think you're not gonna get a better deal than a DeAndre Hunter, established player, proven NBA player, not an all-star, could be in a right situation. Not with us though. We already got Trey and Murray. But and he signed his extension starts this year. So it'll be he
yeah.
got
It's,
4
it's the
years.
first year,
Yeah,
90. I think I
yeah,
looked it up.
4
Yeah,
years. Yeah, so he
490.
found 20, 21 per in a minute, if I remember correctly, either this year or next year. I mean, you paying 20 million for the average NBA starter anyway. So the money is not gonna be bad. You got it for the next 3 years. Um, and like you said, it could be a domino effect if Dame get moved. But like once again, who's willing to take a risk on Siakam for 1 year with him saying he not signing an extension? I don't want to say not signing an extension. I'm gonna say he's not guaranteed to sign an extension with the team he's traded to. Who willing to gamble any of their decent young talent? You see what I'm saying? That's why Toronto.
Yeah,
That's why y'all kind of y'all stuck right now, man. Because like even if he didn't, even if he came out right now and said hey, I'll sign an extension with whoever trade for him. Just say he randomly said it. Now it's a whole nother ball game. Now the prices went up. But when he came out and said that, at first I'm thinking, is he trying to help himself, trying to control where he goes, or is he really trying to stick it to the front office and limit what they can get in return? Like to me, Van Fleet, in my opinion, I think he stuck it to y'all. He could easily done a sign and trade, let y'all get something out the deal.
A
Uh,
trade exception, even
yeah,
just a trade exception,
let y'all
something
get
that
some.
doesn't
He didn't let y'all
impact.
get. He just said deuces. I'm out. Like it's like he was on a 10-day contract, which is gone. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. He was gone. So that's the thing. It's probably the front office, but it's also probably the fans because a lot of the fan base, I think, wrongly turned on him. He even mentioned it in his goodbye letter to Toronto. He's like, "Look, you guys, I saw myself go from unknown to most loved to most hated." Um, he was someone that definitely was happy to get out of here, which is fine. But yeah, with Siakam, the thing is like I'm not assuming that we know what's going on because if his decision was he wants to resign and that hasn't happened yet, that's not on the table. That's not a fluke, right? Something is some, it's a decision somewhere to not pay him.
Right.
So until we hear about how he's reacted to that, I'm not assuming that he feels the same or that he feels differently. We're just gonna have to hear from him when we hear from him. But like again, we don't know for sure whether he's now looking at other scenarios in the NBA and trying to see what's the most appealing for him. Thing with Pascal is like he's somebody who I believe he moved to America for high school, I believe, in New Mexico. Somebody who like I don't know if like if he looks at the cities in America the same way that you would say like a person that grew up here does. So I
Right.
don't really know what he's looking for. Again, like he likes Toronto and wants to stay in Toronto. That's probably because this is where he's been for a long time. This is what he's used to. This is where he's played his whole career. This is where he won a team's first championship ring. But if he's being pushed out the door, like I have no way to gauge how he would look at other situations. So we won't know until we know in that regard. But yeah, from our standpoint, the way other teams talk about trading for Pascal Siakam, I don't see it making sense for us at all. An extension is the only thing that makes sense, but it's not happening. So this is where I'm pretty critical of our front office because I think that we have um, the best way to put it is just like been arrogant throughout the whole process, right? Something our franchise has put at the forefront since we got Masai is the idea of like winning is the best thing to do in every situation. So he's like, if you're going to develop young talent, you should want to still be trying to win basketball games because you don't want to develop young talent in like like in the context of bad basketball, right? You want young players to develop good habits. If you're in the middle, you want to again keep trying to win and keep trying to be competitive, stay within one trade of being at the top. And then obviously if you're at the top, you want to keep going. So we've
Right.
always prioritized winning. We've always prioritized the idea of going forward. Like literally when we had Dwayne Casey, he brought a rock into the locker room as if to say like we might have to hit this rock 100 times for it to break, but that's what we're going to do. And like this persistence in moving forward and not losing in terms of losing trades and all these things, it's put us in a bad spot where even though it worked to get us a championship, it didn't work to like skip a rebuild, which is what we tried to do. We kept trying to be competitive at every turn, and it's put us in a bad spot because last year it really blew up in our face. And I don't necessarily know what the best move is going forward because we have such a mishmashed roster. It doesn't make sense together. Um,
Sooner or
I
later,
think
man. Sooner or later, man. You gotta you gotta reset it, man. Okay. If I'm a Raptors fan, I'm looking at it like this. Okay, I got my guy Scotty Barnes. I got my guy OG. Let's focus on building around them. Yeah, you gonna have maybe 2 or 3 tough years, depending on I can't remember who y'all coach is, but you're gonna have a couple bad years. But that comes with the that's just part of what every NBA team goes through. It just sucks because y'all front office couldn't make a decision earlier where you could have got the assets, for or you could have got the assets for Pascal Siakam with like Portland asking for Dame or something similar to that. But like I told all the Hawks fans on the channel when it came to John Collins, I said the Hawks would not be able to move Collins until they realize you're going to lose this trade. You're going to lose.
Yeah,
So just go ahead and get it done, get it over with. That way we know what we have to work with, and now you can move forward. Like I said, obviously, if they want to see Siakam, they would already pay that man straight up and down. You know what I'm saying?
that's
I
how I
mean,
feel as well.
I
Yeah.
haven't even heard them say, at least with Jalen Brown situation, you hear the rumblings, oh, they working on the deal, they doing this, they doing. You don't even hear that the Raptors working on the deal to try to keep Siakam. It's got to be 95% Siakam on the move. Then it's they trying to work something out. So I'm like, if I'm a Raptors fan, I'm just like, hey, front office, take the L, just do it because you're obviously not going to pay this guy. Just do it so we can see what we have. And who knows, maybe Scotty Barnes elevates his game. Maybe Hunter is looking elevates his game. He looking for another opportunity to get more involved in the offense. So I mean, hey, listen, I hate to say it, but listen, I'm not giving y'all much of nothing for Siakam, man. I'm trying to fleece y'all. I'm sorry.
That's the
Um,
game. This is how the business goes. Like
yeah,
nobody's obligated to help each other out.
I'm trying to kick y'all when y'all down right now, man. I'm telling you, I'm trying to give up Capella and Hunter. If I don't got to give nothing else up after that, I'm not. But I can throw in Sadiq Bey if need be because I don't think he's on the last year of his deal too. I don't think we're gonna keep him because I think he's looking for about 20 plus, somewhere around that range. We're not keeping him. So I don't have a problem with him including him in the deal, whether it's straight up with y'all or Dallas is involved with on the Capella side of things. But hey, Siakam came there, man. Y'all got a championship out of it, though, man. Y'all got a title. So I mean, and it's time to reset. When the last time, Alan, you can sit here and say we are rebuilding? It's been a minute, ain't it?
It's been a long time. It's been
Yeah,
it's like that we've actually like showed up into a season and said this is just a rebuilding season.
yeah. We letting the young
Prior to
boys.
Masai,
Yeah, we
prior to
letting the young.
Masai,
Yeah, man. Like,
you're
so, hey,
talking 2010.
it happens, man. Everybody got to go through. Every team go through it, man. I think Toronto just maybe they're just trying to fight it off. But I mean, they could have, like I said, they could have fought it off if they was leaning forward in the foxhole, about 1 or 2 years. But I mean, at this point, to me, I think the Raptors are you might well go in full rebuild mode, man. The only difference is you're not going to get that haul like you would have got last year. This time, you probably would have got two, maybe three first round picks. Because I mean, at the end of the day, Siakam is an all NBA player. At the end of the day, he is a champion. So it's not like he just some dude who don't have no accolades or nothing. So y'all would have got a nice you're not gonna get no Dame Lillard haul or
Yeah.
some to unless you find somebody dumb like Minnesota on that Gobert move, but and fleece them. But I mean, I just wish they hurry up and get this stuff over with, man, so we can go ahead and move forward. Um, See how we look, so Quinn can get his
So
hands on him, man.
this is something I bring up. Hell no, not getting Siakam with that mindset. Masai is too arrogant, or we'll just let him play and give him the max. So give him the max part. It's a little bit more difficult to wrap your head around because again, why hasn't it happened already? If that's the case, what I will say is that it feels like our front office is actually not too wrongly is not shy to shoot themselves in the foot. Like again, we had Kyle Lowry at the trade deadline. He said his goodbyes to the team. And then we looked at the trade offers for him and said, man, Taylor Horton Tucker in the first, nah. Whatever Philly had on the table, man, just let him go to free agency. And we risked losing him for nothing. Ultimately got back Precious Achua in a sign and trade. We let Fred VanVleet, again, our whole roster at this last trade deadline was being talked about, didn't make a single trade. Like the thing is like we're talking about things from like a logical and sensible point of view, but like something you have to factor in is like our front office could just do something stupid. They could, like, that's always on the table. And the stupid thing here to do would be to lose Siakam for nothing. Now,
Hey, but
again,
watch
like
this, Alan. Which one?
was that?
Which one is sillier? Losing Siakam for nothing, or maxing him out right now? If y'all maxed him out,
Oh, losing him for nothing is much sillier. I would max him out right now. If it was me in charge, I
mm-hmm.
would be maxing him. And so again, like prior to Fred VanVleet leaving, right? My outlook on this next season was I want this to be the value repair season, right? The same way everybody's value got tanked last season, I would want to bring back Fred, bring back Pascal, get everybody on contracts, and
Mm-hmm.
trust that this new coach that you took 2 months to hire seemingly is going to come in and bring you back to being a 5 seed. Now everybody's value is intact. Then you can make your moves. So Fred VanVleet leaves, and that kind of ruins my plan. So um, my look at it now is that I still have that in mind. Just the odds of it happening are less, right? The
Mm-hmm.
odds of um, our team actually being good enough to the point where people's value get repaired, it's more of a gamble to take that approach. I personally would still do it. Edward says Siakam is at best a number 3 option. I strongly disagree. I think he was a number 2 option on a championship team 4 years ago when he was a much less of a player. So I'm not with this.
Listen,
Like you,
listen, Alan, listen.
yeah, yeah.
Don't look at the chat, man. These dudes are savages, man. They'll say some stuff. Hey, let me tell you, man. Let me tell you what. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get you
Yeah.
on our channel.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Listen. We're gonna get you on our channel, right? Because what I do, I'll bring these dudes on the channel so they can say it to you, so they can say they stuff right here. But don't pay attention to them, man. These dudes, they'll pick a side and they gonna ride with that side. They'll sit up here and they'll tell you, man, Siakam ain't worth nothing. And they gonna stick with it. And so I'm just giving you a warning so you don't go down that rabbit hole with some of the guys over there.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because I
Okay,
don't
go
even
down
blame
that rabbit
people.
hole then, man.
I don't even see, but I don't blame people. And also, like, this is the game. If you want to speak about sports on the internet, you have to be ready for every single opinion because
Yeah,
there's somebody somewhere that thinks literally everything. So
yeah, man.
that's just how it goes. Um, so this is a guy named Kenyon who hops on my channel quite a bit. The thing is, there's no sense in not extending him and then trading him later because you retain that option. There's no sense in not extending him and then trading him later. Yeah, because if you trade him at the deadline, you get even less. Now at that point, we're looking at it like Damon said, whatever our price is now, if it gets to the deadline, we're trading half.
But you know what though? Now I can counter that, right? I can counter that. So I'm just gonna make up a number. Say y'all extend them for 4 years, whatever. And the average shit, he gonna be starting at 40, probably going up to over 5 years, probably going up to about 50, right? Now you got a fact. Now that money is a major factor because remember the next off season, the extreme penalties from that tier 2 tax kicks in. So now it might be a little bit hard. You might not might your options between teams definitely gonna open up, but now it's who want to take on that whole contract because these teams might have their other players. So, like us, for example, it's cool for us to trade for Siakam this year because guess what? Murray contract extension don't kick into next season. Next season, not this one coming up, but the one after that. If Murray contract was effective now, see now it's a different game because since our owner don't want to pay the tax.
Sorry, I just gotta run and go get my laptop charger, so
Oh,
I'll
go
go
ahead,
do
man.
that. Let you hold it down.
Go ahead, man. They used to me. They all know I run my mouth up here, man. Let me see what y'all talk about in this chat, man. I know y'all here talking some nonsense. That's what I'm trying to tell them, Hunted. I'm trying to tell them that Siakam is a baller, dog. I don't know what these dudes thinking. What Van Who say? Tell Demar it ain't Twitter space. What you mean by that? It ain't Twitter space, man. Y'all know, like, hey, I like YouTube. Because I want to see your face when I'm talking to you. Y'all know how I get down, man. Honestly, Siakam gonna be a number 2 option on the Hawks. Hell yeah, he gonna be the number 2 option. It's gonna be him. I mean, it's gonna be Trey, Murray. Trey, Siakam, then Murray. What you talking about? Built through OG and Scotty. Yeah, that's what they should do, B-Rap. TV deal kick in next year. Tell them they need a high DJ Carson. He'll be number 2. Yeah, he gonna be a number 2, dog. I don't know what y'all thinking. What is y'all talking about, man? He works better with Trey. How? What you mean? How, man? Y'all is really y'all. Who would you rather have besides Siakam? Siakam is available, guys. He available. We can probably get him for pennies on the dollar. And y'all complaining. Are we serious here? You can get this guy. This guy's an all NBA player. You can get him for pennies on the dollar. And y'all over here upset complaining. Are we serious right now? Y'all scared to roll the dice? How are we going to compete and win for championship? Let me guess. Y'all wants to sit here and wait for Jalen Johnson. Y'all wants to sit here and wait for one of these other dudes. When you can get a guy already NBA proven, already an NBA champion, number 2 option on a championship team, and y'all don't want him, we can get it for pennies on a dollar. Make that make sense, my guys. Make that make sense. Y'all wilding, bro. Anybody who don't want Siakam for the price that we gonna have to pay to get him, y'all tripping. We can get this guy for pennies on the buck. Pennies. Oh my gosh, man. Y'all over here tripping. What you mean we don't have confidence in the front office? As far as what? As a Raptors fan, Siakam is not going to the Hawks because the trade for the Pacers. Bruh, ain't no trade to the Pacers, man. Ain't no trade to the Pacers, dog. You gonna kill that noise, man. They ain't nothing there, man. Hey, I'm with you, White Mike. They scared, man. Y'all want us to stay mid, bro. We were 41-41, and y'all don't. We can upgrade. Listen, we can upgrade, and we get off the Clint Capella money and the DeAndre Hunter money. What are y'all talking about? It's a win-win for us, man. It's a win-win. Even if he leave, we still got all that cap space that we can either use or we could wait till another season to use it, man. Y'all is tripping, bro.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know why they tripping. Even my son just asked me. He said, Dad, why they tripping? I don't know why they tripping. So you move Hunter and get Siakam. Bay has to resign. Move Bay. Put Bay in the deal. That's what I said. CBH. I move Capella, Hunter, Bay. Hell, and I throw in that Sacramento pick. I ain't got to worry about re-signing Bay. I don't got to worry about that Clint Capella extension next year at $20 million. And we saving another $70 million on a Hunter deal over 3 years. How y'all don't see that? How y'all don't see that, man? Oh, man, y'all is bugging. Shout out my guy Point with the $2 super chat, man. I don't have control of the chat Point, so I can't put it up here, man. I had Alon put it up here, dog. People need to realize the time to strike is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. How are these dudes not trying to get this? Bro, I can't believe y'all downplaying Siakam. Y'all treat my man DJ Inca says Siakam is a role player. Seriously? Come on, my guy. You trolling now. You trolling with that comment, man. Y'all bugging. You got an all-NBA player right here. I'm trying to understand what do we have that Toronto will want. It don't matter what they want. It doesn't matter because they don't have the leverage, man.
That's how it works.
They don't have the leverage, so it don't matter, my guys. Come on, family. What are y'all talking about? Shout out my boy Ticket with the $2 super chat. They want the tickets to stay cheap. Exactly. That's what I be talking about, man. When I be up in here and y'all be coming with these comments, y'all scared to win. That's your problem. You so used to us being the 5th seed, the 6th seed. Then we'll have that 1 year where we top 3 and we be all like, yeah. And then we go right back down. We just went from the Eastern Conference Finals to a playing team, bro. And y'all telling me y'all got a chance to get an all NBA player, a champion for pennies on the dollar, and y'all in here complaining? Man, get the freak out of here, man.
So hold on. So Siakam is going to be a number 2 option. He was 25-5, almost 25-6 last year. Who is gonna be the number? Is it gonna be DeJounte? Like I want to know where Edwards at with this, because I don't think we can.
He talking, bro. He just talking, man. Hell yeah, he gonna be the number 2 option. It's gonna be Trey, Siakam, then Murray. That's exactly what it's gonna be.
That's what it's gonna be. And also, I just want to say shout out to Sarcasm City. They rated us with about 20 viewers, so the views to the lives, they just went up. Sarcasm City is another channel that you can see me streaming at. They talk about everything from soccer to basketball to football to F1 to boxing. Any sports content you want is over there. They support me a lot. So anyone that's in here, go check that channel out. But yeah, I don't know exactly what I missed, but it sounds like we're more talking about Siakam, justifying Siakam as an option for Atlanta, which I didn't think
they always do, man.
I didn't think that was going to be the problem here, because frankly, I thought the biggest tension for me would be the fact that it really doesn't seem like we're going to get anything out of Atlanta for this, and like that is more where like I thought I was going to be pushing back against people, but like it seems like I'm here having to justify Pascal Siakam's value, so it is what it is.
But see, it go back to the point though. You said earlier, a lot of these dudes in this chat, they don't watch Siakam play, bro. They don't watch him. They just think for some reason they think. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of y'all in the chat was over here talking about, well, we don't need him because we got JJ. Man, hell no. That's why I be trying to tell these dudes, all NBA player proven. What are we doing here? And you can get him for pennies on the dollar. Y'all, you was mad. We gave up the 3 picks for Murray. You can get Siakam right now for dudes we don't even want. And y'all over here complaining? Man, stop it, bro. Y'all on some stupid. You feel me, finisher? You feel me? Like these dudes is really tripping today, man. Y'all tripping. Y'all must be in the garage, man. Y'all need to get out the garage, man.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Kenya wanted me to put this comment on the stream. So Landry Fields finished his career in Toronto as a rapper. He says Landry Fields is GM like his play Gimpy.
But let me tell you something, man. Landry Fields, listen, because I was on the fire. I didn't even want Landry Fields here in the first place, to be honest with you. Everybody know that. But I got to give credit where it's due, man. He making moves. He had, I could say this. He's improved the team from the coaching standpoint. So I got to give him credit for that, even though I have heard some stuff about it. We're going to talk about that another time, family. Okay. But I'm going to give him credit for that. He had an amazing draft this year. I'm in love with Mo G. Y'all know I love Mo G, baby. So I got to give him credit for the draft. And you know what, though? I'm going to tell you something, though, Adeline. He knows Masai.
Yep.
He knows Masai. That's what I think that's what gives us a little insider. He knows Masai probably is a hard ball to deal with. It's sort of like probably like dealing with Danny Ainge, right? So if you can get, we got off Collins. We had to take this session. We had to take that L. But see, he knows Masai. He knows Masai like to play hardball. He knows Masai like to win the trades and all that jazz. So to be honest with you, you know what I think? I think Landry is just sitting there just waiting it out. He like, bro, sooner or later, you got 2 choices, Masai. You either going to swing back to me or you going to get this man his money. And I know you don't want to go into the season with him expiring. I know you don't want to, because you definitely ain't getting nothing from that. So, man, listen, all y'all fans who hate on Siakam, y'all tripping, man. I can't wait to get him so I can sit right. And y'all know I'm petty, because I'm memorizing who hating on Siakam. And you know when we get him and we ball him, you know I'm petty, and I'm gonna be calling y'all out.
See, I completely see where Raj is coming from now that I've spent some time with this chat and with you here. I see how he's on his ones having to defend Siakam. I'm seeing some slanderous stuff in here, but again, I understand it because this is the real, and this is why I think fan content is awesome, because we all watch our team a lot, and then we'll watch the primetime games. We'll see some of the main teams. We might see a team here and there when they play our team. In the playoffs, we might catch a game here and there, but we can't all keep tabs on every team. And that's why we need each other for fan content like this. And there's a lot of Hawks that I'm sure I don't know a lot about. So that's why I think this is an awesome opportunity for me. But some of the stuff I'm seeing about Pascal in here, it's safe to say you guys didn't watch a lot of him, and it's understandable. I wouldn't either. If I was an Atlanta Hawks fan, I also wouldn't watch much Toronto basketball. Why would I? What reason do I have to? But man,
And one day you need to come. Come and hang out with us one day, man. You ain't heard nothing yet. Like they'll come in there. We hate on some of them hate on our own players, man. So I mean, like my boy Jerry, why folks so big on AJ? That's our young rookie. You know what I'm saying? We was going back and forth about AJ the other day. But Raj is actually a Raptors fan. But Raj been on my channel since I started the channel. He one of the original people who was on my channel. Raj.
It's funny how that works because I'll get some random fans from other teams here that like tapping in, and like I appreciate that they're here, but I can't really understand why they're here. Like I think Mudbone here in the chat, he's a Rockets fan. I'm pretty sure. I think I asked him directly. But again, like awesome that you're here. But like it's like that, and of course, like we'll be working together in the future.
And I agree with you, man. It's like I tell people, man. I don't know how it is with the Raptors, considering Raptors is the only NBA team up in Canada.
Yeah.
But like for us Hawks fans, like there's nowhere where we can talk Hawks basketball. Like nope, like we got the little radio station, but you might get, even if you get through, you might get your 10 seconds up there. You can't really say nothing. We don't have our own TV shows. You know, like I'm in Texas. I can turn on TV right now and watch the Lakers. They got a whole Laker channel on cable.
They probably have a Cowboys channel as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, I get all the Cowboys stuff because I'm only 2 hours.
Are you a Cowboys fan?
I'm an all Atlanta fan, bro. Falcons, Braves.
That's good to see. I'm an Eagles fan, so I heard you were from Texas, and I was like, okay.
Nah, I'm an all Atlanta fan, man. And it's just like, on our show, you know, because I don't even call my show a podcast. I call it an interactive fan channel because I actually bring them on the show because just so we can talk ball, you know, get our opinions out. And it's another day one on the channel who a Raptors fan, my boy Jordan. And because I remember with Jordan, he used to be in the chat. And I told him, hey, he said, I want to come up, but I'm a Raptor fan. I said, no, come on. Because I like to hear, it's different when you hear somebody from another team, their perspective on your team. You know,
100%.
Sometimes we get caught up in all that bias and I think he's this. And then somebody from another team be like, bro, nobody else think these dudes is worth a damn. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, man. But they be trolling sometimes. Some of them be trolling me right now. But
yeah, you got to learn to decipher the trolls from the people that's actually trying to
yeah,
talk.
that's why I didn't want you to get caught up on that.
Look at him. Day one troller.
Yeah, that's my guy, Raj, man. Hey, but I'm gonna tell you, when we beat Toronto, Raj nowhere to be found.
You have to stay 10 toes down, Raj. Come on.
Raj never come. Hey, when we play anybody else, he be at the post game live. So when we play Toronto, if we win, never shows up. But if we lose, he be the first one in there talking trash. But that's Raj. That's my guy, man.
I look forward to getting on your channel. Yeah, that's what I do here. I kind of have the same perspective on things. I don't want this channel to be me talking at people and like speaking to people from the perspective of like a know-it-all. I want everything to be conversational. So I tell people all the time, anybody that wants to hop on the channel, you feel free. I can send the StreamYard link to anybody, literally. I can do it during the stream. People can drop in and drop out as they please. Like, I want this to be conversational regarding every topic. And that's part of the reason I reached out to Damon, for people who want to know the backstory of how this happened. When the Siakam trade rumors heated up, I thought, you know, I did a couple streams on it, and I was like, I want to hear from a Hawks fan. So I went into the Hawks subreddit and I asked the people, I said, hey, this is the kind of channel I have. I'm looking to have a conversation with a Hawks fan. Is there anybody that you guys know that would be good for this? And somebody brought up We Talk Hawks TV. So I checked it out and I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm going for in terms of the kind of person I would want to talk with. So it's always awesome to have these kind of topics, like, or have these kind of conversations. Like, if the trade ever happened, right, I would want to talk to you about the players that we're getting to get a more in-depth outlook. Because, like, yeah, I have my opinions on everybody in the NBA, but not all of them are well-informed opinions. I don't
Right.
like. I have a very. I've seen AJ Griffin a couple times. I don't know a whole lot about that player. If I were to ask Demond, he'd probably have a much more informed opinion on what I'm looking at.
Yeah, man. Hey, like I tell people, man, one thing about me, man, I can run my mouth, and like I tell them cats, as I said, I know y'all don't want to sit up here and hear me talk for an hour, 2 hours. Come up here, and I like to tell them, I'll be like, the little saying we came up with was put your face on it. So like, don't be in the chat just running your mouth. Go on, come up here, because it's different when I can see who I'm talking to. I know it's just a different vibe. Like I'm talking to you, how I can see you. It's like a different vibe than when I'm looking at the chat.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell them come on the show, because our goal is we want to be the #1 fan channel of the Hawks. And I tell these cats all the time, and they'll let you know, I'm just a fan.
Same.
Now we got some people who come on the show, coaches, that the coaching level, some playing level. I say, don't look at me when you want X's and O's. I'm not your guy, right? But if you want a passion, I'm a passionate fan though. Like I get mad behind the Hawk. I get upset, and like they'll know when they know when I'm going to that garage, they know what time it is. But hey, make sure you come on our channel, bro. Anytime, bro. Like, cause I just dropped it. Come on anytime. It don't have to be any specific reason you see us on, man. Come through. Come holler at us, man.
I got a question here for you. Ask Demond if Matt ever comes on his channel.
Yeah, Matt still come up here, man. Matt be busy though, man. That's why you'll catch him in the spaces and whatnot. And plus, I don't really have and I need to work on that, guys. I'm sorry. I need to work on having a set schedule. I usually don't. Sometimes I just we did a show the other night. I only did it because one of the homies wanted to do it. So Matt worked. The reason y'all ain't seeing analysts, because analysts coaches. So he been out the net for a minute. They'll be back hot and heavy, man, especially when the season start, man. You feel me? But I owe y'all that, man. I owe y'all a set schedule. I know, man. But hey, I'm a married dad with kids, man. So I got other priorities also, man. You feel me?
Yeah. There was a watch along. I think the last one for a game, you had to hop off, but that was the watch along I was planning to hop on to like get in the chat and just let you know, like, hey, I wanted to work with you.
My son had basketball practice. I forgot. Yeah, but then I came back because practice got canceled, and then we ended up doing one. And then I think you came in on that one.
That's when I pulled up, and I was like, all right, I have my opportunity. All works for the Raptors front office. Once Hawks get Siakam 404, will be blocked on his phone. That'd be hilarious, but unfortunately, I don't. I wish I did work for the front office, but YouTube will have to do. Balls says, hey Alan, what do you think about Siakam's fit with us? I like Siakam's fit with Trey. I'm a bit iffy with his fit with Trey and DeJounte Murray. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what I'll say is, I've talked about this earlier. I guess you joined halfway through the stream. For people that joined halfway through, go watch from the beginning afterwards on the replay, because this whole conversation has been awesome. Lots of insight from both sides. In terms of his fit, I think he'll be a really good second option. I think he'll benefit from the spacing that Atlanta puts in terms of, I guess you guys are keeping DeJounte, so that kind of messes it up. I was somehow always like thinking about it, like you have Trey and you have Bogdanovich, then like if you were to have Hunter, because I guess I was thinking that DeJounte would be going the other way, Hunter would be staying, because you could put a bunch of spacing on the court that way, right? Then you have Pascal at the 4. You said Okonkwo can hit mid-range shots. Pascal during the championship run played with Marc Gasol and Serge at the 5. Marc Gasol could go to the 3-point line and shoot a 3. Ibaka could shoot corner 3s. So in that kind of a lineup, he fared pretty well. That was the best spacing he's played in since up to that point. We've always had worse spacing after that, which I think is part of the reason people don't value Siakam. But if you put that lineup out, there's a lot of spacing. If you keep DeJounte, now I'm looking at it and it's not as good. But here's the thing. There is absolutely no way you guys are going to have worse spacing under any circumstances than we had these last 2 years. Our spacing last year was a disaster. There's been games where Siakam is driving to the lane and there's 2 Raptors and 3 opponents in the lane waiting for him, right? This is the kind of nonsense he's had to put up with. We've had terrible shooting. There's honestly, just like I said, you guys might look at it objectively from your standpoint. I'm telling you, as a Raptors fan, he will enter a better spacing environment than he's been in the last 2 years. Again, from your standpoint, like I said, if you have DeJounte and you have Siakam, you have Trae Young, I think you guys are a pretty good team. I don't know if you guys are better than Denver, but then again, like, you don't have to be. You want to have a puncher's chance to win a finals. That's good enough to make a push and go for it. You might get lucky with some injuries like we did in 2019. But yeah, I think this is the thing. I like so much of what Siakam would be for you guys. It makes it hard for me to sit here and be like, yes, let's take back DeAndre Hunter and Jalen Johnson, or whatever you guys will put on the table. Let's take back those players for Siakam, because I really think you guys are getting one of the better players you could get, that you could get guaranteed, right? Because yes, of course, if somehow you guys got Giannis, that's way better. But like, there's not a guarantee you guys are gonna get Giannis. There's not a guarantee that you guys would get an Embiid, because I think, by the way, I think Embiid is the next superstar to want out of his team. I think things are going to go left in Philly. I think that's going to fall apart, and I think Embiid is going to be the next superstar. I don't know if you guys are going to get the opportunity to get Embiid, because that market might not be as bad as this, right? For Kawhi in 2019, part of the reason we got Kawhi is because the market was so bad, because he was coming off an injury, because he was telling the whole NBA, I only want to play in LA. And we took advantage of a messed up market. That's how we got that player, right? In an open market where everybody's assets on the table, look at all the other teams with better assets than you guys. New Orleans can blow you guys out of the water. OKC can blow you guys out of the water. Those are the two teams I come up with off the top of my head. I'm sure there's other teams out there that can blow you guys out of the water in terms of trade offers for these premier players. You guys are going to have to make a move at some point to put your chips into the middle of the table and make a move for a player that makes your team better. Pascal, I think, definitely makes you guys better. It just depends on how, basically it depends on how you want to play this as like a poker game. Do you want to wait for a better hand, or do you want to just play this hand? I just want to quickly get to some of the comments. Do I want AJ? Yeah, I would take AJ.
Y'all not getting him, man.
I guess not, but I would take him.
Only due to, because of the situation. Like, if this was a year, last year, might be a different story. You feel me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Have y'all even looked at our young talent? Like a AJ Griffin, a JJ. Akaru off the board, he ain't going nowhere. So
this is the thing. Yeah. So I've looked at your young players. I looked at Okonkwo before knowing that you guys might have plans to start him. I looked at that like, we have our center position sorted out for the next little bit because we just paid Jakob Poeltl. And I think we look at him as a player that's good now. His contract only going to age better as the cap goes up. And he's a player that at his age, even in a couple years, we could still flip him. So like, he's established for at least the next 2 years. I don't think we would value a young center like that, especially because we already have another young center, our second round pick from last year, Christian Koloko, who is not ready to play now at all. He started playing basketball at like 18 years old. He's really raw, but I like what he could be in theory. So we kind of have our young project kind of a player. Obviously, Okonkwo is not as young and has some NBA experience, so it's not quite the same. But I was looking at it like, Bufkin was a player that he visited with us twice before the draft. He was a player a lot of media people tied to Toronto, so I thought Bufkin would maybe be a guy. AJ Griffin, his dad was just an assistant coach on the Raptors for like a good 4 or 5 years. There's a connect, not that like that means a whole lot, but like there would be some familiarity. I'm guessing Masai's asking Adrian Griffin at some point, hey, what do you think of your son? And AJ Griffin hit a game winner against Toronto last year. Remember the alley-oop at the end of the game?
Yep.
So we're going to be familiar with him. I like the idea of having AJ Griffin on my team. Jalen Johnson, here's the thing. I don't know that much about that player. All I've seen is that first 2 years, he hasn't quite established himself in the league. So I just don't look at that as like not a good sign, but I don't know much about him at all. Who else is on the team? I talked about Bufkin, talked about AJ, talked about JJ, talked about Okonkwo. But yeah, I was looking at it, right? Like, part of the reason I look at it like a mismatch in a way in terms of trading players, if somehow, some way we could get Bufkin and AJ without taking any of your older players, you can have Hunter and DeJounte, because like if I'm thinking about the future, I want the future assets as good as like for whatever Hunter is. I don't necessarily think we need a guy who's 26 years old, or we need a guy like DeJounte who's 27. And if anything, if we could kind of like help you guys out in the trade in that way, I was looking at it like, we'll take the younger pieces. You guys can have the older pieces to compete right now because that's what you're doing. But like you guys said, we don't really have the leverage to dictate any terms. And also, that wouldn't work financially either. We would
Right.
have to take on big salaries. So we would have to take on a Bogdanovich, a DeJounte, a Hunter. Then that really tilts the value. So now, like I was looking at it, I'm like, there's no way for us to even get Buffkin and Griffin because that just makes it too lopsided.
Right.
So,
Yep.
man, that's my thing.
Get a
That,
you had to get a third team. Even attempt that you had to get a third team, but that's why I like the Dallas move, because
yeah,
y'all can. They wanted Clint Capella. I mean, y'all can just get Capella, and then you just move Capella to Dallas. See what you can get for Capella. I think they were saying Tim Hardaway Jr., good serviceable guy, vet. I mean, at the end of the day, even if you rebuild it, you're gonna need a veteran on the team. And when I say that, I mean a veteran like who could teach them how to be, real professional. Hardaway's been in the league for a minute, so we've been in the league long as Hardaway. He's doing something right as far as being a professional NBA player. You feel me? I ain't saying like he gonna be part of the rebuild or nothing like that, but I mean, because you don't need Clint Capella. We're seeing y'all Clint Capella and Hunter to make the money work. Because
exactly.
I think you still could take on 125% of the salary. Siakam at what, like 36, 35, Hunter at 20, Clint at 20. So that puts y'all $5 million over. So yeah, so you could take on that type of money, and then you could just take Capella, like the trade was saying, and move him on to Dallas, who want him for whatever. I don't know, trade exception, a first round pick, whatever Dallas got to give up. I ain't really looked at them, but
Yeah. If we're flipping Clint, I would like look at that. Like if we could flip Clint for an expiring salary. So whoever's contract it is, somebody who's a free agent, get that money off the books, and then like some type of draft compensation. But
yeah,
again,
I think
it's
Dallas.
tough.
I think Hardaway's expiring, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
I got
yeah.
my guys over there on We Talk Mavs, man. And now, listen, Pancho, you're not getting a Congo, my guy. Go and get that out your head, man.
Is Pancho a Raptors fan?
I don't even know who Pancho is, man. But you're not getting them, Pancho. You're not getting them. A Congo is staying, bro. He gonna be our starter. What are y'all talking about here, guys? Come on. He's our starting center. Capella, bro, they just about out the door, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, Capella gone one way or another, whether we get Siakam or not. Because if you watch how we play in the summer league, Capella wouldn't even be able to run with that summer league team. Because you got to shoot the three, you got to get up and down that court. So he gone, bro. Y'all might was gonna get that in y'all head, man. He out of here.
I have a question. How do you think Siakam fits into the 5-out basketball you talked about Quinn Snyder playing in summer league?
Amazing. Because what he's going to give us that a bigger body. Let's say Siakam, Trey, Murray, whoever, AJ, whoever at the small forward. Siakam, Okongwu. Siakam gives us something we haven't had. He gives us and chat, y'all let me know if I'm wrong, chat. Siakam will be the first guy in a long time that gives us playmaking in the front line. I don't think our front line, we never had a playmaker at the front line. So he gives us a playmaker.
You might have to think back to Josh Smith.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a long time.
That's why I asked the chat. I'm like, shit. He gives a playmaker at the front line. He gives us he's somebody who don't have to be spoon-fed. I said the front line foot. Joe Johnson was our shooting guard. He gives us playmaker at the front line, ball handler on the front line, another player that Trey don't have to give him the ball. He can actually bring the ball down and get into his spot. We haven't had that in our front line in forever. I think I was on Twitter. I forgot who said it. Shout out to whoever said it on Twitter. They said we was averaging, our front line was averaging 4 assists per game. That's a no-go. That's a no-go.
With your shooting, you're getting at least 6 out of him. You're getting at least 6 assists
And that's
by
what I'm trying.
himself.
I'm trying to explain this to these guys, man. I don't know why.
Upside for more. There's an upside for more. Again, I haven't seen the playmaker version of Siakam arrived last year because that's something he had to worry about in the playoffs against Philly. So for you guys that don't know, basically Philly figured out at some point Siakam is somebody that we don't have a player to play one-on-one against defensively. So we're going to have to send numbers at him, and there's nobody else we have to actually worry about. So that's what they did. They started double teaming him aggressively, and that's kind of how the series ended. So he went back into the lab, showed up last year, and was a solid playmaker. Again, we just did not have the shooting. We didn't have the polished scoring as a whole. And it's not just that, like, we didn't have a bunch of shooters. It's that our shooters were missing as well. Van Vliet had a terrible season shooting from three. Gary Trent had a terrible season shooting from three. Otto Porter was supposed to be a three-point shooter for us. He played like 7 games. OG had par for the course year, three-point shooting, but as a whole, our shooters were missing and our non-shooters are non-shooters. So giving us 5.8 assists last year, he's giving you guys at least 6, probably 7.
I'm trying to tell these dudes, hey, Raj, don't worry. When Siakam get to Atlanta, you know I'm going to order me a Siakam jersey just for you, Raj. You know I'm going to make sure I wear it. You know I'm going to make sure I wear it because I know Raj going to be up there. But, yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain to the bro. He brings he adds a dynamic we haven't had. I'm just thinking off the top of my head right now, man.
Just real quick to get to this, Edward, here's the thing. I'm saying the Hawks shooting. If you don't think your shooting is good, you don't understand how bad our shooting was. Your shooting is going to be better than ours. So I'm not talking about it like your shooting is elite and out of this world. I'm just saying in like comparison to ours, it's definitely better. Ours was a mess.
Yeah, he must be talking about our three. What are you trying to say? That our 3-point shooting was bad. I mean, our 3-point shooting. Listen, our 3-point shooting was dismal last year, man. I mean, you know, we tried to turn John Collins into a stretch 4. He had a down year shooting, but you know, a lot of it came from Trey because Trey started off so slow. But you know, starting December, you know, he heated up majorly. But I mean, we don't really have a choice now because we shooting, but we're gonna shoot 43s a game next year. We already know that's coming. You know, plus you got Bogey shooting. AJ was a good shooter for 3 last year, even though he slumped at the end. He still finished almost. I think the homie Nate told me he almost finished 50, 40, 90, even though he slumped at the end of the season. So we got shooters, man. I think we was playing so. I don't even want to say playing bad. I'm gonna say we was playing so far below our below our abilities last year that it just hit us all hard, man. Like we was just like, what are we doing? We're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. But like I said, I'm not even concerned about Siakam shooting a 3 like that. I mean,
so he's not a good shooter because, like, I'm showing you the stats here. Last year he shot 32%. He's a streaky shooter, so like you'll get the games where he doesn't hit a 3, but he had games last year, I think 2, where he was like 6 for 7 from 3. So it's up and down. But just so you guys get an idea of what we were dealing with, I pulled up some 3-point shooting stats for us from last year. So top guy there shooting 50% from 3. Why? Because he's 1 for 2. You're talking about a third string center. Then we're looking at OG Anunoby shot 38% high volume. He did well. Gary Trent shot 37% high volume. That's okay, but he shot better the year before. Now you're looking at basically everybody else shot 34% or less. We had 2 guys who were shooting 3s night in, night out that shot over 34%. It was a disaster. It was really bad last year. You look at it, Scotty Barnes had to shoot 223s, shot it at 28%. Precious Achua had to shoot 108 threes, shot it at 26%. Guys had to get up shots because somebody has to do it, and a lot of them were missing. I'm going to take this off the screen now because I've fulfilled my purpose, but our shooting was worse than yours. whatever you put out on a basketball court next year around Pascal Siakam will be better than what we gave him. So that's just my point with Toronto. With you, when I say your shooting, like your shooting is going to be better than ours. He'll be better from a playmaking standpoint on your team next year. And yeah, I just like again, my biggest issue is just that we need to figure out where Pascal's at, because if Pascal's willing to still get this extension done, that's the best thing for us. Because as you guys have rightly pointed out, um, you guys are going to give us like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, it is on the dollar, man. That's why I don't even understand why they do not ready to take it.
Hey, we got ATL Kool-Aid Drinker says, will Lillard come to Toronto? I see this report. It's just rumors. Like people are, it's a good story. Like if you're a writer that has to get clicks, it's a good story to say, look, last time a player wanted out and was demanding a trade to one team was Kawhi, who was demanding a trade to LA, and then Toronto stepped in when nobody expected, and blah blah blah. It's a good story to write about Lillard, but I don't think it's real. I think they're much different situations. I think Kawhi was coming off injuries and had a 1-year deal, and Damian Lillard has 4 years left on his deal. So Kawhi, it made sense for him to go, you know what, whatever. I got out of San Antonio. I'll play a year. I'll get my value back because I haven't been playing basketball. Then I'll go to LA. Whereas Dame, he has 4 years left. Wherever he gets traded, he's stuck there. So I don't know if Dame would come to Toronto, but if he's even like slightly open-minded, we can definitely put a better trade on the table than Miami. I don't think anyone wants Miami's assets.
Well, I mean, speaking of Miami, I mean, Portland pretty much, they don't really have no options. Nobody, listen, they even had some silly stuff out here talking about us trading for Dame. And I was like, what? Dame, first of all, Dame is, and I hate to say it, man, because I'm an old guy, but Dame's old for me. I don't want him at that age. I don't want him on that money. I think Portland, they should have, once again, they should have moved on from him too. They knew they wasn't going to put no team around this guy. They knew they wasn't. They've been telling him that for years. Send the dude to Miami. The dude been loyal to the organization for a decade. Send him to Miami. You already got Scoot. You gave Jeremy Grant. I knew when they gave Jeremy Grant that money that he wasn't going to stay there. I mean, if I'm Lillard and we got that type of money and that's the best you can do is Jeremy Grant, get me up out of here. They knew they wasn't going to try to win, man. They should have just traded the guy. And the only people who I don't want to say it like that. Let me say it like this. Dame already said he want to go to Miami. I mean, no other team is going to give up any assets. And what you going to do, sit Dame? That's what I be talking about when these front offices are, when they're reactive and not proactive. You find yourself in these situations that we just got out of ours with John Collins, but we had to take that L, man.
Tristan says, do you see Siakam being traded to my Hawks? I keep hearing about Indy, Orlando, now Philly and OKC. So I hadn't heard about Philly and OKC. I don't think he's going to Indy or Orlando. If he were to be traded, I think Atlanta over Indy and Orlando, but I don't think Philly has anything that they could offer us that we'd want. I don't want James Harden. I'm good on that. I think OKC is in a situation where they can one up almost any offer in the NBA with all the draft picks that they have, with all the young talent they have in their squad. OKC can enter almost any trade negotiation and say, look, whatever the highest offer is, will present a little bit more value. So I think if OKC is actually in for Siakam, they probably are in a pretty strong position as for what they can offer. But of course, like Pascal has a little bit of leverage here personally, because he can tell teams who he's willing to sign for, who he's not willing to sign for, and that'll incentivize those teams to trade more. So honestly, do I think he would go to OKC? I don't really think that sounds like a city you would actively choose. So I think Atlanta is in a pretty good situation if it has to happen. Like I said, I think the conversation is more, does Siakam get traded to Atlanta or stay, as opposed to Atlanta versus other cities?
Yeah, man. And plus, I mean, shoot, bro. OKC, man, they got about 50 draft picks over the next like 5 years, man. They got tons of assets. But I don't think, they're not in for no Siakam, man, because they already got you got SGA.
Giddy?
You got McGiddy. Is that how you say his name? Did I say it
Yeah,
wrong?
and I think it's Josh Giddey. I think. Yeah.
Giddy, and guess who coming back? Chet. So I mean, I don't know where somebody gonna lose, and Lou Dort. They're not finna. Nah, they're not. Nah, they're not.
But that's the thing with OKC, with Indy, with Orlando, with these teams that have really young players. I think the time where you trade some young players for an older player to kind of now lead the team that's now supposed to be winning games, that's not it's too early for that. I think that happens either next offseason or the offseason after that. I just don't buy it. All these rumors, I don't really buy them. I think it makes sense for Atlanta to be here for Siakam. I
Yeah.
don't quite see the thinking for a lot of those other teams.
No, it's just either the agent or Toronto's putting that out there in the news
Exactly.
and trying to get the Hawks probably to give them some more stuff. But I mean, no, it's not happening, man. That's why I'm like, just go and just do this deal, man. We've been sitting on this deal. Well, we're going week 2, week 3. Let's go and make this happen, man, so everybody can move on. I don't know what the Raptors waiting on. If you're gonna extend the guy, extend them. I mean, it's really that simple. And that's why
There's nothing to wait for. Nothing's going to change. Like I said earlier, nothing's going to change from now to next week to the week after. Something might change mid-season, but like let's get something resolved and move forward. Because
get the most you can, and the best deal coming from Atlanta, Masai. I know you watching. The best deal coming from here, man.
oh yeah, of course, he's watching for sure. He definitely taps into Toronto Hoop Talk.
Take the deal, Masai. It ain't gonna get no better, man. Take the deal. Okay. It is what it is. You should have moved on last year. You didn't. It happens. We feel you though. We had to take the L on John Collins. You know, it is what it is, man. But I'm about to get up out of here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll wrap it up here. We'll wrap it up here. People will be working together at some point in the future. I'll be hopping on his channel. I'd love to have Damon back for other kinds of chats that concern things for NBA wide. So we'll make that happen, people. While you're here, again, this stream is being streamed to two channels at once. My channel, Toronto Hoop Talk, and Damon's channel, We Talk Hawks TV. So make sure wherever you're watching, go to find the other channel and make sure you're subscribing to that channel. Make sure you're running up the likes. If you like fan-supported, fan-created content, support the content. If the ecosystem grows, we all benefit from it. So make sure you guys are supporting. Make sure you guys tap in for future work. You'll probably see a lot more from both of us. So you guys take it easy, and I'll see you guys around.
Salute, chat.